Bhrigu Lake Trek is an adventurous trek that takes you to the Himalayan mountains. It is one of the most remote and unexplored places in India. Nestled in the state of Himachal Pradesh, Bhrigu Lake Trek is in the middle of nowhere with only a few villages nearby. This means there are very few people around, making it possible for you to feel like you have found your own little piece of paradise on earth. This trek offers spectacular views of high peaks, snow-capped mountains, pristine forests, waterfalls and more. Come join me on this journey to the unknown Himalayan mountains. It was a rainy day as we drove through the beautiful pine forests and mountains. I'm sitting here on the window side of our car, looking out at the beautiful mountains. I've got this feeling that there is something great waiting for me up ahead. This 24-kilometer route to Gulaba, with its breathtaking views, starts from Rambagh Circle in Manali and ends on the shores of the Bhrigu Lake. The view from Gulaba is absolutely one of my most memorable moments on this journey. It has an altitude of 10,370 feet, so when we got there after 1 hour and 15 minutes of driving, we could already see Rotang Pass and feel like we are almost at our destination. We reached Gulaba at around 2 p.m. and the trek starts from there, and it takes around 2 hours of steep trekking to reach Jaukathach. As soon as we left Gulaba, the temperature dropped drastically and it seemed like this trek is really going to be tough. And as soon as I started walking uphill again, it started drizzling around. The hike was a fun challenge. The second day sees hiking, foraging for wild edibles in the open meadow. The shrubs and wildflowers provide contrast against the green of the trees and grasses. The view from the top is simply stunning. Views of the surrounding mountains and valleys gradually improve as the hillside gets softer and grasses begin to multiply. With a gradual uphill climb, the views are simply magnificent. There is nothing to stop you from taking in everything you see. As you progress upward, we noticed how some areas are completely green while others are covered with evergreens and herbs. Mount Hanuman Tiba in the background looms over the meadow. The Byaskund Valley is crisscrossed by 7 mountain peaks known as the sister peaks that are all named for goddesses. Turn right from the upper ridge of the meadow and walk south. This is where the second forested region begins. As we near the top of the mountain, we pass through what looks like an open field, that is Rolakoli. The foggy morning is worth fighting for as we search high and low through the misty mountains. The crispy air provides just enough warmth to keep things interesting, but it's not too much that people will complain about feeling cold when they are expected back at the base camp by snack time. Trekking today will be tough, but the reward is well worth it. You have to trek a height of around 1,348 feet in order to reach Bhrigu Lake and see this beautiful lake for yourself. This walk is one of my most favorite parts of the hills. During daylight hours, it can sometimes be hard to see the forest for what it is. A beautiful spectacle of green that contrasts sharply with the brown of the dunes and boulders. But during the day, the forest opens up and reveals itself to those willing to explore. After successfully navigating around some tough terrain, we arrived at an open spot overlooking the Pirpanjal range and Daladur Hills against a clear sky, dotted only occasionally by fluffy white clouds hovering peacefully above them. As you approach the fourth day, you will recognize it as the last day of your trek. All previous days will be gone in such a moment as if time had stood still and all your hard work had finally paid off. We reached our destination, Bhrigu Lake. The first sight that greeted us was this beautiful lake in an area covered with fog. As we look at its serene beauty from a distance away, we could see how still it is. There were no signs of waves or movement anywhere on its surface. Just crystal clear water surrounding two small islands, which seemed so lovely against such intense surroundings. Climbing over the ridge on the side of Bhrigu Lake is a nerve-wrackingly steep drop. The trek back to Gulaba is relatively simple. You can walk through the meadows you came up from, although the descent can be steep. The hike to Gulaba only takes 3 to 4 hours. The meadows of the Bhrigu Lake Trek are vast. They almost look like an infinite carpet. Wild horses gallop around you as you leave the tree line. There is a set of hills on the other side, Pirpanjal and Daladar. When you're hiking in the Himalayas, you won't see many other people. The Bhrigu Lake Trek is a good example of this. The green meadows change slightly from the beginning to the end of the trek, but they are present throughout. It's a short hike, but at 14,000 feet in elevation, the climb is a challenging one. The altitude is high enough that you feel like you have accomplished something.